Hey, welcome back to a very new video. But if you're newer, my name is Katja and on this channel I talk mostly about K-pop, books, language studies, manga, basically all things that I love in life. And for this week's video, I want to talk about all the K-pop groups that I collect, how I collect them, what I collect from them. So here we are. We're gonna have a sit down and talk about it. I do have my phone with me because there are quite a few notes. And it will probably be very clear why I need my phone. Because the first two groups I collected very randomly of the things from them. And also then the second half is a bit odd because I collect a lot from them. So yeah, I need my phone. But first off, I need to explain the rules. Because I do think it's very important to have rules when collecting, so you know exactly when something comes out if it's your cup of tea or not. First rule, no single albums with just one song on them. One album per era, and I'm specific how I collect each group. And the rules are allowed to change at any time. I'm not gonna lie, I broke rule 2 times. And that had a very specific reason, but I will get there when I get there. Now I'm gonna talk about each group that I collect, and I will do it in the order when I started standing them. Honestly, I should do a story time of how I got into K-pop and how I got into each group, because it is a little bit like, how? It's not very logical. I got into K-pop not because of the music. It was just because I really liked the language, and then I found out about each group. But then again, I already listened to BlackPink, so it doesn't entirely make sense, my story. But the first group that I started standing was back in 2018, 2019, and that is BlackPink. And they are the oddest group when it comes down to my collection. My very first album, and this was also my very first K-pop album at the same time, is Rose her solo. Not the one that is just released when this video is going up, but the one, the single solo album that she put out with YG. It's so interesting, by the way, when I'm talking about this, because the retail back then was so different. I remember it was actually really hard to get certain albums. For example, the album of BlackPink, I got it well over a year after its first release. This is it. I wanted to have the rainbow pinkish one. And I remember that restocking was so hard. The pre-orders were doing okay, but I missed out of the pre-order. Because back then, I didn't know how everything worked. And nowadays, it's such a difference. I have the feeling it's way easier accessible, the knowledge, to know where to buy certain K-pop albums. But back then, I remember there was, at one certain point, only one website. And nowadays, it's a little bit more. And I have my favorite websites where I like to shop in the Netherlands and Belgium. I'm from the Netherlands, by the way, so if you didn't know, hi. Maybe you're a fellow Dutchie. I don't think you are, because I've looked at my analytics and most people are not from the Netherlands. But maybe it's good to know, because maybe in your country it's really easy to get K-pop albums for years, but I think in the Netherlands it had only been for 4 years now. I think more in 2020 that it was starting. No, wait, later. Now I'm thinking about it. After Rose her album. So I think somewhere late 2021 that it was actually getting easier, which also kind of made sense because we also had like COVID in the whole world, messed up everyone's timeline. And to be honest, I think that's also the reason why my BlackPink collection is a little bit messy, because that must have messed up with the girls, their schedule as well. So after Rose her solo, I got myself the show, the CD, the 4+1 photo book, Summer Diary, the one when they were in the theme park. I honestly really want their other two Summer Diaries because they looked stunning. I love the footage of those. So if I ever can get my hands on them, I would really love to buy those. Then I got the official soundtrack of Snowdrop. That's the one that Jisoo was one of the leads in. And then we go to the album. I got it way over a year after its release. And of course, then I got Born Pink, and later I also got the LP version that you probably saw in multiple of my videos somewhere in the background. When it comes down to the solos, I have, of course, Rosie, then Lisa, Jisoo, and I have no Jennie because it breaks my first rule. And that is that I don't collect single albums with just one song. So in the future, because the girls are bringing out solos, and well, we don't know what Jisoo's gonna do with music. We know that she is acting and she is doing so many jobs, so that's truly amazing for her. However, to just make it a little bit easier for me, not collect all over the place, from now on, how I will collect the girls is when they put out their full albums, and of course group activities, but mostly just albums. I don't think I would necessarily buy a photo book again. It's not that I regret it. I have one right there, the 4+1. The thing is, I don't necessarily like how there are mostly solo shots in there and not as many group shots in general, also when they are doing photo shoots for their albums. I mean, in the 4+1 we were really lucky. There were a lot of group shots in there because they did this time frame thing of also pre-debut, so that's amazing. But I've noticed that most of the times they don't do a lot of group shots, and that makes me really sad because I prefer those over just solo shots. Now we know how I want to collect them in the future. But what are the things that I won't collect? Well, this won't come as a surprise now anymore. And those are the solo photo books. And I might not collect all their future solos, just because it is a lot. And I want to focus more on, if they do solos, that those are full albums. Just to make it for myself easier. I don't want to overconsume anything, and also I want to be very aware of my space. What do I want to collect possibly in the future? Well, I was hoping for a tour DVD of Born Pink that isn't even coming. Like, is that even a possibility? I really hope so, because I couldn't get through the tour because I thought I was gonna immigrate to another country, and then I didn't. But then I ended up with no tickets, so yeah, I was hoping for the tour DVD, but who knows? When it comes down to the PCs that come with the albums, I am OT4. I am very specific how I collect the certain cards, just because, again, it can be a lot. So for example, with the Born Pink era, I collected one PC of each member from each version. So I would ended up with 3 PCs of each era, plus the Polaroids from each member. Did I say it right? I believe so. So in the end, I would have 3 PCs, 1 Polaroids, and I also had 1 group photo, so it looks really cute. That's BlackPink for now. Let's go and move on to the less messier groups of how I started collecting them. And that is BTS. I did, however, collected them quite randomly when it comes down to the albums, because I started collecting them in 2021, but already in December. So basically 2022. And I started with You Never Walk Alone, Love Yourself Answer. Then in the next year, in 2022, Map of the Soul 7, and Most Beautiful Moments in Life, Young Forever, Dark and Wild MB, and of course Proof, their Anthology album. So the albums that I collected from BTS, well, you may notice a theme. I didn't buy any of the EPs. I just bought the main discography. Just because, again, it would be a lot, and that is also why I don't collect all the members of the group. Even so, I didn't even pre-order any of the albums except for RM, his first solo that was a physical album. I'm looking for it, but I can't find. Oh yeah, I have it stored right now. Anyway, Indigo, that album is called, and I collected that specific album because I knew I was gonna love it. I knew that the songs were a match with my personality, and that's not to say that the other members don't make good music. However, the music of RM speaks to me on another level. The same goes for Suga, or might I have to say August D in this case. Their music hits me on a different level, and the other solos don't do that for me. Again, not to say they aren't good. For example, I didn't collect RM his second solo physical album, or even Suga his album when it came out. I waited until I knew that I really liked music, and that's when I bought it. Just again, spacing issues, and I wanted to make sure in this case that I really like it. And I know for sure it's gonna be very different in the future when BTS is coming back as a group. I will 100% buy their group album again because I love them as a group. I love those two soloists, and the other guys I support in other ways. So with BTS, you probably have noticed that I'm more music focused, and I don't buy any photo books. Maybe somewhere in the future if they have a comeback and they are putting out something special, or maybe if they put out some memory stuff. But as of right now, I really stick with music. I do of course also hope in the future that I can collect tour DVDs when they are coming back together again, and from that moment onwards I might also collect the mini albums and not just like the, how do you say it? It's not like the main discography, but those bigger albums, the normal full-sized albums. When it comes down to their PCs, I'm not picky. I just keep what I get, and I sometimes buy other PCs, but those PCs are always group or special, and then I always buy OT7. The next group that I collect is Stray Kids, and they are the last odd group that I collect, as in just with the same with BlackPink and also BTS, like I just talked about. I don't collect their mini albums or the things that came out before a certain album. With Stray Kids, I started with the first repackaging of In Life, and then No Easy and Ordinary, the limited edition. That was my first comeback as a stay, and I haven't regretted one bit. I mean, I didn't regret any of the groups that I stand. But after Ordinary, I collected each album that came out, even if it was a mini album or a full album, it didn't matter to me. I collected everything. And they are the first group that I collect quite a lot of merch of. Oh, wait, you can also see One Wolf Chenny up here, and then there is even another one up there. So, yeah, it was go big or go home with this group for me. So I have a lot of their tour merch from their last Maniac tour. I hope to get my next merch of this coming tour, or well, the one they are currently on, but I will go to the tour because I got VIP tickets. So your girl is very happy about that, and I can get the merch when I'm gonna go to the tour date because I'm VIP, so I have first access to it. I'm so excited. From this group, I also buy tour DVDs and certain photo books. I am a little bit specific about their photo books because I don't like each one of them. So I got Stay and Stay, the second one, and I got That's It right now. But then again, I do also collect certain magazines they are on. So for example, Chan is my bias. I am OT8 by the way, but he is like my bias. And I got his Japanese nylon. And I also got the Rolling Stones with all the guys. And oh yeah, you can't see it, but they are up there. What won't I collect from this group? Well, I have yet to find out. No, like I just said, I don't collect each photo book. I'm very specific about that. And other than that, I will just see. It's mostly just, yeah, I don't collect every merch or whatever, but I collect a lot from them. In the future, of course, I want to buy each mini album or normal album, but I also really want to buy their Japanese comebacks because those albums are so good. Like in my last vlog, I was raving about Giant. I mean, it depends when you are watching this video, but it's my vlog number 62. So if you want to look it up, I am raving about Giant because that album is a masterpiece. Also, the sound and circus, Sociopath, they're all amazing. So I really hope that I can buy those albums somewhere in the future. And of course, because I'm a VIP going to their concert, I want a light stick. And that's probably gonna be the next thing that I'm gonna buy right after finishing making this video. The PCs that I collect, of course, are Bangchan. He's my bias, so I'm really focused on his PCs. But then I'm also OT8 because from every item that I get one of the other guys besides Bangchan of, I will just keep it, or sometimes I trade it. It depends on what kind of PC it is. If it is an album PC, I would trade it. But for example, when it comes down to the tour DVD or the Stay and Stay photo book, I want that the PCs are sticking together with that memory of me getting that, if that makes sense. The next group, Sserafim, and I started collecting them right from the start. Well, almost right from the start. I didn't got into the pre-order. I first wanted to wait until everything was released to be sure of it, even though I was a pre-debut stan, just so you know. But still, I wanted to make sure that I really wanted to collect them until I heard their first mini album, Fearless. And right after that, I was like, oh gosh, I should have pre-ordered it. So it was really hard to get that album because it was sold out everywhere. But then I found someone in the Netherlands in the K-pop community, and she bought a lot of albums to be able to do a video meeting with one of the members, and it worked. She got in. And I was also in luck because she bought so many albums, and then I bought one of those albums from her again. So that's the start of my Sserafim collection, and then I got every single album that came after it. Then I do want to say something before I move on to the other stuff that I collect from Sserafim. I want to talk about the PCs, because for the first 3 comebacks, or well, the debut and then the 2 comebacks, so Fearless, Anti-Fragile and Unforgiven, the way how I collected the girls was Jinjin and Kazuha. They were my biases, and I was like, okay, I don't want to collect everyone because I still want to get to know them. And then the start of their second chapter, that's also how the girls are calling it, I started collecting OT5. So there you go. And that's also when I broke my second rule. I bought multiple versions of one album. No, actually, that's a lie. I did it one time before with Stray Kids. There was just something specific that I wanted to get, and I got a Bangchan version of one of the albums. Just because I wanted that exact thing what was in there. But I went crazy for crazy from Sserafim. So I bought 3 versions of that era just because, no, actually 4, now I'm thinking about it, because I can't even talk about it. It was in this vlog, I will put it down here, but something went wrong with my order. But I got 2 versions of the regular album. It was supposed to be 1, but there was this whole thing. You will be able to see it in this vlog. And I got the reverse version, and I also got the Balaclava. And the reason why I bought so many albums, besides that the Balaclava is iconic, was also because I'm collecting OT5, and in that era I didn't want to go through the hassle of collecting OT5 because there were so many other things on my plate, Back then I was in the whole thing about changing my last name, the last part of the process. So my head was supposed to be somewhere else. And I didn't have any room left in my head to think about anything else. So that's also why I bought multiple versions, just so I would have a complete set of them. Other stuff that I collect from Sserafim is merch, tour merch, normal merch. For example, I got from the Flame Rises, I got pins, and I've also, where is it? Oh, here is it. The tour DVD. I really hope that they are gonna do a world tour somewhere next year or the year after. That would be amazing. I do get all the photo books of this group. Well, I think I got most of them. I got All the Day Off, the Leniverse, and I also got the on-off package, which is, here's a part, and then here's a part. So yeah, I basically collect everything from the Sserafim, everything that I want, and I don't have anything that I won't collect, to be honest. I mean, of course there are. I don't buy everything, but I do collect a lot of the main things that they bring out, like the on-off and Leniverse. I think those are such cool pieces of things that they went through and shows that I absolutely loved. Then we go to the next group, and this is the final group, Kiss of Life. I've only started collecting them recently, and again, just with Sserafim, I'm a bit annoyed with myself. I mean, for this group, I wouldn't have put in pre-order just for the same reasons as with Sserafim. Did I ever pre-order a group before they debuted? No, I've started always somewhere in the middle. Only Sserafim I started quite close after they debut. I mean, only with Kiss of Life I started collecting them a year after. But I was dabbing in collecting them for quite a while. But then I was also like, well, spacing issues. But now I know that I will probably move somewhere next year. I'm like a little bit easier on myself, and the Kiss of Life albums, they are quite thin. They might be big as a magazine itself, but they are very easy to store. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna collect them, because if I don't, I'm gonna regret it, and I'm kind of regretting it already, because it's quite hard to get your hands on the very first album that they put out. Fingers crossed that they're gonna restock it somewhere in the future, but yeah, as of right now, I don't know where I can find myself a copy. So I've started collecting from their second EP. I've got their single album, and then their third. Yes, so I have 2 mini albums and 1 single album. And how am I gonna collect them somewhere in the future? Well, I do hope for tour DVDs, but I also really hope that they are gonna tour in Europe. So hopefully those dates will be announced pretty soon. How else I want to collect them? I don't know. I am just wondering what they are gonna put out, and we'll see by then. When it comes down to the PCs, I just keep what I got with the albums. Maybe I buy a few more, but I've got a good variety in the albums, so I'm not in a specific need. Well, I don't have many Bell PCs, so maybe I buy some of those. Or I want to get OT4 PCs, one package per album. But we'll have to see. That is gonna be a future me figuring it out. In conclusion, yes, this is a very expensive hobby. I looked it up very recently how much I spent on music, merch, and other stuff regarding that, and it has been a lot, but I'm not regretting it. I'm honestly in love with my collection. I did, however, wished I collected BlackPink a little bit differently, but then again, I can't blame myself, because back then we didn't knew what they were gonna put out. So yeah, as of right now, I'm really happy with my collection and also with my future plans. Are there any groups that I want to collect in the future? I don't actually really know, because Kiss of Life was pretty recently, and I have thought about Baby Monster since that has been a group that I've been following pre-debut, but so far I haven't collected any of their albums as of yet, and maybe I will just stand them from afar and not collecting them, because these 5 groups I really like, and that also means that it leaves me with money for concerts, because concerts are back again, so that's truly amazing. And I see that I have to change my battery. 1 sec. And we're back again. Anyway, so Baby Monster is a possibility just because I really like their music. I just like to work out on their music, and I think it's great. I think that the girls are vocally growing so much. I love their stage presence. It's insane. So they are a big maybe, but I will have to see somewhere in the future. I do really like that they are starting to put out jewel cases, because again, spacing issues, and that would save a lot of trouble from me. So maybe if they would put out and keep on putting out jewel cases, they are a big yes for me, actually. Other than that, I have been thinking about Kepler, and then starting when their OT7 era started, but then I didn't really feel anything regards to that. I do think that them as a group, they have more say, and you can tell that it's more them who are putting out music and not just the company. So they are definitely a group that are on my radar, but as of right now, I won't collect them. Maybe somewhere in the future if they put out some memory kind of thing or something like that, but yeah, I'm just admiring them from far and always listen to their comebacks and whatnot. Other groups, I have none. When it comes down to PCs, I have some members that are not named in my main collection. And that is Bahiyi from Kepler. I am collecting her PCs from the Korean albums. I am a little bit specific how I collect them, but I will do that in a future video when I show my PC collection. Also, I am collecting J from Enhypen, again, Korean albums only, and with him, it's only 1 PC per era. Besides all these groups that I collect, there are so many groups that I like to listen to, but I have done already a video about that, and I will link it down below, because there is so much good music and you don't need to collect everything. There are just very specific things that I like to collect, and other than that, I will just admire all these artistry. Anyway, that was it for this week's video. I'm just gonna enjoy the fact that I'm gonna see Stray Kids live together with Wolf Channy, and I hope to see you next time. Okay, bye!